Hey guys, Gordon Cockerpunk here. Haven't started a video out like that for a while. Got another old school guns tour for you, also from AKA. This video is not gonna make a lot of people happy, and we'll get into the reasons why exactly as we go on. What I have here is a full milled AKA Viking. This is a 2003 spec. Not sure if it was actually made in 2003. It might actually be earlier than that because the eyes were drilled into this at an earlier date, or they weren't stock basically, which means it's probably actually an '02. In 2004, AKA revamped both the Viking and the Excalibur. So guns made after that are '04 guns, and usually guns made before that are just generally referred to as '03s, even if they were made as far back as 2001. This gun was originally envisioned as a mid-level gun for AKA. They built the triple-tubed gun called the Excalibur in about 2000. That gun was a closed bolt poppet valve gun, so it was essentially an autococker in a body like this. In one tube you had a rammer and the valve, and in the other tube you had a rammer, or a ram that cycled the bolt, so thus necessitating the three-tube design. With the downfall of autocockers in the early 2003-ish era, 2001 to 2003-ish era, the Excal also fell out of favor, and the Viking, which again, like I said, was originally intended as a mid-level gun, became AKA's kind of primary flagship gun to most people. This gun is built off the same extrusion, and a lot of people will argue like, they need the third tube for volumizing purposes because it's low pressure or whatever. No. Just blatantly not true. This gun was built off of a 3-tube extrusion like this because it was cheap and easy. This is an Excal extrusion, and they just put a single rammer in it and made it work like an Intimidator, except for this whole tube serves as low pressure air storage. That's really the whole extent of this gun. It works like an Angel or an Intimidator, with the ram cartridge right here, the valve is right here, and the bolt is tied with a pin through there. Like I said, this is the LPR. The original ones were flat-faced in front. This is they call it the soda can mod, SCM LPR, which is a better LPR. Originally these guns came with a Nelson board, which is total and complete garbage, but most guns have at least been fitted out with a WAS board. Wicked Air Sports, which was a huge board company in the early days. They were basically the inventors of debounce, and basically the inventors of incredible cheating intimidators. Sometime I'll have Doyle on the show to talk about WAS boards and cheating with intimidators. He's got some pretty wild stories. So these guns, and then WAS board. This gun has a Musashi 5 board, and they also made a Ibizu board for this gun later on. That was like 2004 or 5 by the time they had come out with that board. All AKA guns came with a Sidewinder regulator, which obviously is one of the best, and a javelin barrel. This is kind of a unique barrel. You don't see these. It has kind of that same front fluting that you see in like a phantom barrel. And then it has also this weird style twisted porting. The original ones only actually had one set of big fat ports there. They started out at a relatively small bore, like a 686, 687, and as the guns got older every year, it seemed like they increased the bore size until I think the 04s and afterward came with like 693s. reason why this video is going to annoy the shit out of a lot of AKA people is because there's a lot of AKA apologetics. There's a lot of people who say this gun is better designed than modern guns, it has tighter tolerances than modern guns, it's more efficient than modern guns, and really that's just not true. It's just period. A lot of people say, like, well, their tolerances are very tight, so you only have to use oil. Well, that's BS. There's grease in this RAM, otherwise it leaks. Stuff like that. And plus, like, why would tighter matching parts be better if you have an O-ring fit? That doesn't make any sense. Tight tolerances are not necessarily good tolerances. In fact, tight tolerances are typically bad tolerances because they're expensive parts to make. So, tolerancing, maybe we can do a whole video on tolerancing, because as an engineer, tolerancing is not what you think it is as a consumer. So these guns also had a wire detent, just like the Merlin I have, and that was in 2004. They also switched to a double ball detent, one in front, one in back. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, efficiency. Yeah, like this was the first gun that lots of people touted as being able to get a case off a 6845. I haven't seen it. I have never seen an AKA Viking shoot a case off a 6845. So I'll believe it when I see it. It is fairly efficient. I mean, they're not inefficient guns. AKA always did build efficient guns, but I have never seen a gun like this get a case. It just... Sorry guys. It is fun to shoot. It's quite a large gun, especially from behind, so it doesn't kick that much because it's a little bit heavy. Another cool thing about these guns is they come in a lot of different millings. The unmilled ones are quite beefy and heavy, but as they get more milled down, they look cooler and they're lighter. This one, I don't remember what mill is on this, but it's obviously got that kind of wave streaking going on there. The parts on this are not necessarily in beautiful shape. This gun is not in the greatest of shape, but it's a shooter's gun. Yeah, so the AKA Viking was, again, originally intended as a mid-end gun for AKA after the Excalibur and the autococker just kind of died. Then it kind of became their premier gun. So, AKA, as we all probably know, if you're a fan of the Old School Guns Tour, was essentially put out of business, or at least out of development. You can still get parts and things for AKA guns because the business still runs, and you can get replacement milling done, replacement parts, all from Destructive Customs, Jared. So support for these guns is really quite good. But AKA as a development company, as an innovator in paintball, was pretty much crushed in late 04 or 05 by Smart Parts and the electric gun patent. They're just too small to defend themselves and too small to pay the royalties, so they left. Which is really tragic that Aaron Alexander did not want to keep designing guns, because there's no doubt that he was quite good at designing guns. So unfortunately, another one lost to the Smart Parts bullying. Otherwise, yeah, you can still shoot these guns reasonably today. The milled ones are not overtly heavy. They're not very large, except for the body dimensions. You know, they're not like long and fat and whatnot. In terms of like things poking out, like cockers and stuff like that. Most people don't even know how to shoot cockers anymore because there's all sorts of things that move and poke out of them. But these are pretty reasonable to shoot and relatively reasonable to own. The unmilled ones and guns like this are in the $200 to $300 range. The really well milled Vikings and Excals and anodized and really well kept up guns can be upwards in the $1,300 range still. Just beautiful works of art. I don't think you can really justify that as anything other than just like a classic car kind of expense, but like I said, there's a lot of apologetics out there, especially for AKA and AGD. Yes, AKA and AGD made excellent markers, but This gun is approaching 10 years old. In fact, it probably is 10 years old. And it's showing its age. The ergonomics are just not there anymore. Guns have caught up and surpassed this gun in pretty much every category. Just like automags. But if you're watching the Old School Guns tour, you obviously are an Old School Guns enthusiast, so you don't have to explain, or I don't have to explain to you why you would want to own or shoot one of these, because they're very fun. XCals in particular are great. I had an XCal a while ago, and they're very fun to shoot. And these are definitely passable in the modern tournament scene, so it's an old school gun you can enjoy. So with that, have a good one, and if you have any guns, especially I'd like to get an XCal on the show. I'd like to get a Planet Eclipse Cocker. What else? Let's see, we did the Bushmasters, didn't we? Let's see, what else? What else is there left in that kind of late 90s, early 2000s era? Yeah, I would like to get a Planet Cocker and an XCal on the show. So, if you're not too offended by my assessment of AKA's longevity, maybe you can send me your XCal. So, thank you. Talk to you later.